This is day 831, the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor our coming share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. It would be very greatly appreciated. You're doing tough Chav days through Ches. And talk about Erev Tavshilin, of course. We have another opinion today about whether Tzorchei Shabbos Nasim be Yom Tov. Based on Yeshem Asay Shamush Analo Kaimon Tzorchei Shabbos Nasim Yom Tov, we do not hold that Tzorchei Shabbos can be done Yom Tov. The Zeshom became a Gemara that which Gemara says that there Sham Leis Lehoil does not hold of the principle of Hoil. Therefore, since you don't have Hoil, then you have to say Tzorchei Shabbos Nasim Yom Tov. But if you hold Hoil, Havamandi is Lehoil. Heter Mishum Hoil. The leniency is on account of Hoil, because since you use it if gas comes, so therefore you can make prayer for Shabbos. Hoil v'miklai archin. The Chazali, since if gas comes, we suitable for him. Moshe Omer Shemon Pushmar, like Gemara says there explicitly. According to the Bir Allah says, according to this shita, the preparation of dishes is actually a chana d'oraisa, because it doesn't make them Shabbos. Makes sense, yeah. We hold the Duse oil. As for somebody who bakes in yards of 2 weekdays doesn't get malchus. Even though it's a prohibition, nevertheless. Yeah, so Avagav the Mishum Hoel, even though if it's on account of Hoel, it's still forbidden to do. Chazal said it's okay. That's the Ran, who goes Maimonides, and the Shem Tosfos, and the Bani Tzarfas, the Sman Hilchos Yontif, and Ram Sevad of Zen Lafrigu Rav of Rav Chisda Ein Beis Yosef. Okay, whatever Ram holds is not a machlekes. Not sure what we're referring to there, but in any event. There's a nafkina between what we learned in Sifal, which is that Yom Tov is made on Shabbos, and we learned in Sif which is that it's on account of Hoel. The Rambam holds it's Yom Tov making because Yom Tov is made on Shabbos. Mutabash Yom Tov Shabbos, I feel some chashecha and cook from Yom Tov Shabbos even right before nightfall. Came into Shemin HaTorah Mutar, since me the rights it's Mutar. Ben Erev Tavshilin, you covered both Rabban and the Raisa. But since if the issue is if the leniency is on account of oil, also some not allowed to cook right before nightfall. It's no longer suitable for guests. Became a Torah. So that's the case. How would Erev Tavshilin be effective at that point? The Smag Emily writes that that's taka also at that point. He says brackets among Avraham. These issues are Shabbos Yontif some Erev. According to this, you would have to be careful not to cook on Yontif right before Shabbos begins. The belt is not careful about that. Mishnah says also you would have to be careful about the food that you put under in Hatmana, insulate for Shabbos. You have to do Hatmana at the time that they could still cook a third of their to the Machal ben Jusai, to a third of their measure before Shabbos would begin. And Mishnah says the Chatchila should be careful about this, especially in Yom Tov Rishon, which is Doraisa. Yom Tov Rishon going to Shabbos. Shabbos Tzchak, you may make a Yom Tov Sheni, which comes out of Shabbos. But even Yom Tov Rishon, perhaps you can make a Shabbos Tzchak. This is cooked right before Shabbos. Okay, but otherwise, Mishnah seems to be pretty machmir at this. But so what does the Arukh HaShulchan say? Have you Sham Rish Perek Beis and Forsh Gankin Karamba? Sham holds like the Rambam as well. The Yom Tov Meilich Shabbos. Baruch Sham Isa Chamei says asked there, come see Dvar Torah who also very Tavshil Matirim. If the rice it was also Erev Tavshil would allow it. Tmiya. Rabbi Vov B'Dina Yashim Mavashim Yom Tov Shabbos. It says no. According to the letter of the law, you would cook from Yom Tov Shabbos. Emrat Kain Avavashim Yom Tov Chol. But if that's the case, people would start cooking also from Yom Tov weekdays. That's end quote. And that's why you require Erev Tavshilin in order to remind you only for Shabbos. So if that's the case, we have both Yerushalmi also going like the Rambam. So obviously, it's a reason to say that that's probably the Iker approach. There's no long brackets here. Votamuli, these are the Mishum Hoel. Says also, if we hold that the reason is on account of Hoel, Echlu is Kir Shas Rishberg Beit the Beitza. Ikar that the low. Why did when the Gemara discusses Erev Tavshilin in the second pair of Beitza, why didn't mention the primary heter, which is Hoel? Befrat the Hoel Yosh Machlok, especially if by Hoel there's a Machlekas, whether they say Hoel or not. I mean, Ikar the din of Mutter, but if it's Mutter Mikra din, not just kind of Hoel, it's a bar. You have to explain it. Shas Boshem Nani Mile. The Gemara that asked there, how do we know this? Klamar Tzara Ev Tavshim, how do you acquire Ev Tavshelim? Adrab, on the contrary, Ev Mirach Ech Mutter Ev Tavshelim. If it was us, except for Hovel, let's ask how to, if they shouldn't permit it. Get a park Kushama, like Kushama asks. Amika de Mutter, but if it's Mutter Mika then Kvar Omar Zeb Psachim, right? It says Psachim that you're Yontiv is making the Shabbos. Ava Beholi Ev Shalom Arkain. By Holy, I can't say, well, it says it elsewhere. But Holy Yesham Plukta. Holy is a Machlek itself. Shasham Lech Halacha. The Shas doesn't make a determination in the halacha. Halavar makom lechus a karabba. I should explain. Would have to say that the halacha is like karabba. Don't be no hoil that we say hoil. Actually, furthermore, it's difficult to me. The mitam hoil mutter min Torah. Let's say on account of hoil, it's mutter the rice. It came gam lechol came. So it's mutter for a weekday. Well, had him before Barambam Pergav min Torah aser. The Rambam holds that midaraisa it's aser to cook for midaraisa it's also cooked for a weekday. Like you just don't get malchus. So the Arukh HaShulchan is clearly inclined to say that the Rambam's reasons they could reason, and therefore he was justifying the minhag not to be nizar, not to cook immediately before Shabbos. Dalit Beruvi Tavshilim some Rabbanan Akroi. Rabbanan made an asmach to Beruvi Tavshilim based on Psukim Kamvur B'Gemara Reish Perek Beis. The Gemara is the beginning of the first second Perek. With time and Nechel Gurava Ravashi. Ravashi arguing the reasoning. The Rav Amar the Tikkun Shabbos Hu Kadesh Yivor More in a Yafeh. The Shabbos. It really is, Erev Tavshilin is a fixing for Shabbos. So you should leave a good portion over for Shabbos. Come on, Yontif, just like you would do for Yontif. So you shouldn't finish off everything on Yontif before Shabbos begins. Rashi might have taken Yontif. Rabbi says it's a fixing of Yontif. You can't cook for Shabbos out of Erev Tavshilin. You can't cook for a weekday. Because the Rosh Hashanah ben time. The Rosh writes is in between these two reasons. The Rav Tzva Dafka Shnei Erev Tavshin Be'erev Yontif. Going to Rav, you have to leave the Erev Tavshin on Erev Yontif. The Shiva Morning Yontif the Shabbos. So you should make sure to leave over a good portion for Shabbos. Rashi calls us Safilu Kodim Erev Yontif. Rashi, you could do it even for Erev Yontif, like we do it Erev Chatzeros, well before Shabbos. That's because it's. To remind you not to do it for a weekday. But Arukh Rabashi, do best for Arukh Rabashi, who is the later Amora, came Baskum with the CPU Dalit. So therefore, Kigom Besukkah Shachal B'Yom Chamishi, when Sukkot comes on Thursday. So Erev Tavshin l'Sukkot Shmini Atzeres, you need Erev Tavshin for Sukkot and Shmini Atzeres. You only have Kunam Sukkot, you can leave and make the Erev Tavshin before Sukkot. Smachal Kan Shmini Atzeres, you might also Shmini Atzeres, Ima Erev B'Shleimus, if the Erev is still intact, for Elachil and suitable to eat. For these barbs, this will be clarified much later in this simon. Hey, Umal Loshen Eruv. Eruv means a mixture. How is that relevant here? Because Rambam writes, Lamani Koshmo Eruv is called Eruv. The Kshem Eruv shows Sim Chatzer, just like the Eruv we make in courtyards, and bows and alleys, Me'erev Shabbos, from the first Shabbos begins, Mishum Heker. In order to remind us, Kadesh Le'el Das Shemutu Lo Tzim Mishus Shabbos, we shouldn't think they're just allowed to take from one domain to another on Shabbos. Kach Zeh Tamshim Shum Heker V'Zikaron. So to this dish is something to recognize and remember. Kadesh Lo Yidmu Shemutu Lefos Yontif. So you shouldn't think you're allowed to bake on Yontif. Masheinu Nechol Abo Bayom, so it's not going to be eaten that day. Kuli Akan Shono. Uvar Hari Erev Tavshin Rak Shema Mushal Meruvi Chatzeros. According to the Rambam, Erev Tavshin is only a borrowed name for Erev Chatzeros. Erev Chatzeros, it means actually the Chatzeros are conglomerated, mixed together to become one entity. But here it's just a borrowed terminology, as he says here. You mix the domains, and the name was borrowed here because it's the same Prince idea to make a hecker. Ravid said here too. Ravid says here too. It's a language of mixture. Shema'arev Yontif Shabbos. You mix the Shabbos and the Yontif with Shabbos. Lasosim Yachad to make them together. The time Tchumim Kenu. Also, Tchumim says the same thing. Shema'arev Tchumim. You mix together Tchumim Shlo Yalech, which otherwise you're not able to walk. Ayin Shom. The Rav writes, the Perish in Erev, who Shivash, the concept of Shivash, Yefa, Yontif the Shabbos, you should cook and bake on Yontif the Shabbos, Imash Bishabafa Kvar Erev Yontif, together with what you already cooked and baked for Yontif, L'shem Shabbos for Shabbos. Im shlo yischem malacha b'yontiv ela b'gor gomer slos. Comes out. You're not finishing. You're not starting a malacha b'yontiv, but finishing it. Klomer cheni I can show and quote from the Ramah. Lokmar the cheni kro eruv. That's going there. Shem arbe. If you mix together tavshili Shabbos o son shekarim yontiv. The dishes you cook for Shabbos before yontiv. Im osin should be on with the ones you make on yontiv. The horror should be yontiv b'rak gemar. In the case that yontiv is only a completion. Below haschol at the beginning. Haschol asur miyontiv to begin. It's also yontiv. We said this chazek so it's a kula bashim yontiv chol. This will fortify the prohibition. Everybody will know to bake, not to bake from yontiv to weekday. In Shabbos also it's forbidden for Shabbos. Let's start ahead of time. Kosh kein chol so also to bake for a weekday. Vav. Uficha yontiv shechal yos be'erev Shabbos. Therefore yontiv comes out of Shabbos. Below indiach erev tavshil. You didn't eliminate erev tavshil. Also the bashim b'tchila. The Torah Shabbos. You can't cook. For the purpose of Shabbos, in a pot by itself. If it's one pot, that's okay. Cook as much as you want. I feel derech harama, even if it's a ruse. In other words, you're going to cook much more than you need for yontif. Much Shabbos same tough kuf kimel. Also, only in a pot by itself, it's also. But you can cook several pots of yontif. Lomar there and say once eat from each every pot. Shas cooked there and leave the over Shabbos from every pot. This will come up later on again in this. By day, Erev Mabashel with Shabbos. Through the Erev, you can be Mabashel exclusively for Shabbos. In the answer, because of reasons which you explain. This Erev you can make even if it's the suffix, it's Ben Hashmashos on Erev Yontif. Just like Arukh HaShulchan, it is prohibited. Mishabur writes that if Yachim is a Makabel Yontif, even though it's accepted explicitly, you can still make an error as the Tzibur was a Makabel Yontif. But if you accept it upon yourself, that's what we accept before me by Yoim. We accept it between Safik Hashecha, between Ben Hashmashos, then you should be perhaps you should be Machmer. If that Mariv, even as an individual, Baltani says you can't make a Erev type shil anymore. Bilga says that you should be careful to make the air before the wife lights candles. So thing or showing Baruch have a Kabbalah achat tefillas yontif. Yes, in the Baruch have a Kabbalah. Some say Baruch is a Kabbalah. Some say Baruch is not a Kabbalah. Shmuel says. And even he didn't. I mean, he himself didn't say Baruch Hu, but the Tzibur said Baruch Hu, so he follows them. Shas of Chak, even after Baruch Hu, as long as the Tzibur hasn't done Mariv, you still make the Eruv if it's not completely dark. But I am much less in relation to Samaral as Roshon looks here wrote there. Being with basic Knesset is in Shul, but Dain Lois Paul Mincha, he didn't down Mincha Yak Shel Beso, so it's Erev Tavshin. If you go and goes on making Erev Tavshin, Yavar's my Mincha, he's going to miss the time Mincha. If you Mincha, Yavar's my Erev Tavshin, Dain's Mincha is missed time Erev Tavshin. With this Mincha, that's not Mincha. Lo Ani Erev Tavshin and skip Erev Tavshin. Yak Nekim Kol Achen K'man she's born. We shall see an Eitzah that he can be makna his flour to other people. Much later in the Simon. Mishnah Berurah says if you can make an Erev through a Shliach, so send the Shliach to make the Erev before you go to Dab Mincha. Zayin, Kosav Rambam Zal. Ram writes, they don't see an Erev, Zeba Pas, Tavsha and Shem. You don't make this with bread, make it with a cooked dish. And with the side of Tavsha Chud. Ram seems quite clear that all you need is a cooked dish. Okay, Basak Rashi Zal. Rashi passing away in the Shilto, so Bala Traces. They all passing away. Dav Gabriel Lisamer, ain't no fin, Elofli, Vashel, and Voshel. You know, the says you don't bake unless you have something baked ahead of time. You don't cook unless you have something cooked ahead of time. She'll play like Yerushalmi. She'll argues him in Yerushalmi. V'amar Vashin over Vashin Mavusha. You can bake and cook based on just having something cooked. Avo the Bahag v'Rabbeinu Tam Pasku the Tzar Pasutavshi. They're asking you both bread and a cooked dish. Came in the Shas since an hour Kamara and Bavli Levi Rakti Rabbi Lezer. Only brings the words Rabbi Lezer. Pasku Tuvashon. So you basically Tzar Pasutavshi. But the Shulchan said the you should have both. The evidence is enough to have a cooked dish. Alone, the halakha poskim looks like most of the poskim who say that's enough. Mishnah Berurah says if you don't have to bake on Yom Tov, only cook, then there's no reason to actually use bread have any bread in your tavshilin. Ches the shir tavshil the measurement of this cooked dish is kazayis. Whether it's one person or 100 people, for thousands of people. Maybe close to sofa, whether it's exais at the beginning or at the end. Leave it initially. It's type exais. It's suffice exais. Niach harbe, and if you left a lot in there, but I lost yishar ma'at, and only a little bit is left. Ain't no dai babachas mikazais. It's not enough to have less than not. You still need a kazais. Umeila the gam pas the mishum matzah pas can't give kazais. So if you need bread, it's also kazais of bread. Yesh person should be able to show me the pasta bikabetza. And the bread has to be a kabetza, double the size. Tavshil kazais, cooked dish kazais. Piece of kosher rabbeinu ramah. So you give me the yesh matzah chachila pas kabetza. Cheno give me chachila, chano shol chachila. Should have bread the size of kabetza. Yesh person says that this chachila. Oh, I missed something here. Oh, Mr. Brother is on the previous sif. He says, if you remember, even though the evidence enough that you have a cooked dish, remember before nightfall, then you should also add bread. And you say the honey aruva over again, but not make another bracha. Mr. Brother says that little chatchila, you take bread the size of the beitza, it's only before they made eruv. If you then made eruv bread, you don't have to go back and take double the bread. But Arukh HaShulchan goes on, the ever will be in pas club. Everybody know bread all together. And the Fanei Loim says Ebi Yerushalmi. The problem is that we don't have this Yerushalmi, which requires double the size. But on the contrary, the Rava Omer Shambik Zayis. I feel pachas mikazayis. I ain't Sham. Yerushalmi hinges on kazayis or less kazayis, not kazayis or kabetza. The Gam Habi Yerushalmi Hevi Hach Rabbi Yeshua the Dai B'Tav Shabbat. Rabbi said Rabbi Yeshua, the tafshil is enough anyway. You don't need bread. The Kemach place can be but since the place means now mistama. If then they had such a version of Yerushalmi, it's preferable to be careful about this. Shami Rabbi Lezer Kamar. Shami is going to call Rabbi Lezer. Mel Anel Chatchila Sin Rabbi Lezer. Moshe Kasu Moshe Amar Yesh Lanu Lasos Kain. Since Rabbi Lezer requires bread, according to these both requires double amount of bread, that's preferable. Since Rabbi Lezer, we should follow him all the way. Actually, Tavshin feel Brusa Mahani. Even a piece of sliced bread works. Located v'chatzeres, now I get chatzeres or daf kashlema, where the bread has to be sholim. That's why I shouldn't pay the shchenim. That's because the neighbors want to make sure that it's a proper collaboration. If tavshilin shayach zeh, and say no neighbors here, it's not relevant. Everybody makes only a tavshilin. But it says still it's a hit or mitzvah to take a whole loaf, a whole roll.